Welcome everybody to this webinar. My name is Marcello De Maria, and I am a junior researcher and data analyst at the Land Portal Foundation. And today we are going to see how to use the new country portfolios that we released at the Land Portal. Let me briefly introduce what the Land Portal is. The Land Portal is a foundation and a website. And basically, what we are trying to do at the Land Portal is to provide a free, quick, and intuitive access to the huge amount of land-related information. As you can see, the Land Portal is organized in three main sessions: the Land Book, the Land Debate, and the Land Library. Each section is a aggregator for a content type. In particular, the Land Library is where you should look at if you are looking for bibliographic resources. The Land Book is the home mainly for data and numbers, while the Land Debate is the house of the land community, where we collect news, events, blog, and we host online discussion. So to access the new country portfolio, it's sufficient to click on Land Book, and you will see a list of countries. You can either click a country on the map or find your favorite countries from the list. As you can see, there are some countries' portfolios which are featured. What does it mean? What's the difference between other countries' portfolio? The difference is that country portfolios are made with the help of local organizations. So the contents that we host in those pages are kind of insider contents to a particular country. In general, what's the idea behind the country portfolios? The idea is that the huge amount of information that we host on the Land Portal is organized by country. So the country pages are something like a navigation path, something that puts together all the information on a given country. So today, I'm gonna present a use case. So I'm gonna play kind of a role game, and I'm gonna pretend I am interested in forestry in Vietnam. So before I continue, I would say something. So if you have any questions, just feel free to write it on the chat. At the end of the webinar, I'm going to speak for something like 20-25 minutes more. At the end, I'm gonna give some room to a question and answer time. So feel free to post your question on the chat, and Lisette, our moderator, she will collect them. And at the end, if there is need, I'll try to answer to your questions. So let's go back to our case study, and let's click on the Vietnam portfolio. So as you can see, each country page is organized in blocks. There are 8 blocks: the country narrative, the indicators block, the compare country block, the mapping block, the infographics block, the media block, the partners block, and the library. So as you can see, the narrative has a general introduction. From the general introduction, I can spot some relevant information. So for instance, I can see that Vietnam is historically a nation of small-scale rice farmers. And also, I can see that a rapid economic growth produced a lot of land use changes in the last few years. And sometimes these changes, they led to land disputes. So again, the narrative as a general introduction, and then it has different subsections. So there is land policy and administration. In this case, there is land classification and tenure rights. And let me expand this section, for instance, just with one click. We can always expand and close each subsection in one click. So in this case, I can quickly see that forest land is 45% of the total land area of the country. I can see that the ownership of land is organized through these land use rights certificates. And when it comes to forest, these certificates last for 50 years. Something else we might be interested. Vietnamese law, according to our narrative, does not recognize customary forms of tenures. However, this is inconsistent with customary practices of many ethnic groups who perceive land, especially forest, as belonging to an entire village. And then we have also some information, some detailed information about the distribution of different forest. So we know that 2% of forest only had been allocated to communities, compared to 26% of forestry, which have been allocated to individuals. The rest is mainly state-owned or owned by public authorities. So here I can see that there is a small number. This is the reference for this information. So if I want to know more about this particular information, I can open the reference box and go to number 22. Here we are lucky. We have a link. It means that this resource probably is available online and maybe is on our land library. So let me click on this one. Okay, so great. This resource is on our land library. Here you can see the view of a general resource on the land library. So you have the abstract, you have a screenshot of the cover page, you have a series of tags that helps us to locate the content. These tags comes from something called the Landvoc, which is something we developed at the land portal in order to organize the content of the portal. And it is a structure vocabulary for land-related terms. Here we are also lucky enough, so we can access the resource online and we can look at the resource. So let me open it. Okay, so this is what were the library research from where that particular information comes from. If I scroll it down quickly, this is where the particular information that we saw is coming from. So it's a pie chart. We can see communities is 2% of the forest area. Households, they own 26% of the forest area. And this is coming from a governmental source from 2015. So let's go now back to our country page on Vietnam. Another thing that I want to say about forestry, and land in Vietnam is that in the last 2 years, from 2013 to 2015, a huge land titling programs happen in the country. So in the last few years, a lot of change probably in the structure of tenure rights happen in the country. Now, we could try to see whether we can find more insight on forestry in Vietnam through indicators and data. So I'd go to the indicators section. This is a customizable table. You can select and delete the indicators that you want. So let me keep playing my role game and let me look for the indicators related to forest. So I'm gonna look at the scroll down menu. I'm gonna quickly go at the F, and yeah, that's forest land. I'm gonna select the latest available here, and I'm gonna add it to the table. Sometimes it takes a little bit, so I'm gonna wait. Here we are, forest land. Then I see there are other forestry indicators, forestry related indicators. One could be relative forest land. I'm gonna keep 2012 as a reference here. And again, I'm gonna add it to the table. Then I saw there were other indicators. In particular, there is the suite of indicators from RRI. So I'm gonna add those 4 indicators to the table. Here on the select years, I only have 2 available years, which means that there are only 2 observations in terms of time series for this particular indicator. So I'm gonna add the 2013 one. Again, we wait a little bit. And here we are. Then we have other indicators from RRI. We have the forest land owned by indigenous people and local communities. And the last indicator from RRI is the forest land owned by individuals and firms. Okay, so now I'm gonna delete all the other indicators I'm not interested into. And I'm gonna end up in having my customized table. In this case, I took indicators related to forest land. For each indicators, we have not only the value of the indicator in a particular year, but also a list of metadata of the indicator. So we know to which data set the indicators belong. We know we can just have, you know, a quick overview of the indicator definition just passing on this little box here, or we could click on the indicator link. As you can see, it's linkable, and this is the view for the indicator. We see the definition of the indicator and some detail like the measurement units and some other informations. We could do the same at the level of the data set. For instance, let me click on RRI dataset. So this is the view with the definition of a dataset. You always have the link to the original source. We don't produce data in the first place, but we host data from third parties. So it's always helpful to see what is in the page of the original source provider. And also, you have a list of all the indicators belonging to a particular data set. So, as you can see, here in the narrative, we saw that 26% of land was owned by individuals. But when we look at the same, at a similar indicator at least, we have a 0 in terms of million of hectares. So what's the reason? Quickly, I'm gonna check and see, oh, yeah, that's the reason. Basically, concessionaires, they are not included in this category. And we saw that the land tenure system in Vietnam is based on this land use rights certificate. So probably this 26% is not included when measuring these indicators. So again, some nice, interesting insight. We can see that most of the forest land is publicly owned or administered by the government. But then let's see something in terms of other countries. So I'm gonna go now on the compare countries block. So this block is useful mainly to see the evolution of a indicator over time and to compare this evolution with other countries. So let me take our forest land indicator again. And as you can see, we have the evolution of forest land in Vietnam. We can see that the trend is upwarding. So in the last 22 years, in Vietnam, we passed from 9 millions of hectares to something like slightly more than 14 millions of hectares. So now I might be interested in see whether other countries in the region, in the Myanmar region, express similar trends. So let me take Laos, for instance. Yeah, here we are. And let me add it to the chart. Then let me take Cambodia. Here we are, and let me add it to the chart. Then let me take Thailand, for instance. Here we are. So now we have a quick view on how forestry evolved over time in 4 countries of the Myanmar region. As you can see, Vietnam clearly express a upward trend, while other countries tend to be constants or they have a downward trend, as it is the case for Cambodia. So something nice about this block is that you can exclude the country you selected just with one click. So if I don't want to see Thailand anymore, I just click on Thailand here on the bottom and Thailand will disappear. If I want to put it back, I just click it again. So that's nice. Then we do have another data related box, which is the mapping one. So if the compare country block was mainly intended to see the evolution of an indicator over time, here we see how the whole world is doing in a given year. So now let me take, for instance, the indicator by RRI on forest land administered by country. I'm taking this indicator because this tool is particularly good when we don't have a very long time series of the data, and this is the case. So now we are watching forest land administered by governments. It is measured in millions of hectares and for year 2013. As you can see, a nice feature of this mapping graph is that you don't only see the existing data, but you see also the missing data. So all the gray countries in the map, they are missing data. Here I have highlighted Vietnam, which is the country page I'm using for this example, and I can just, you know, pass the mouse on Laos and see how Laos is doing for the same indicators. 15 millions of hectares are administered by governments for forest land. Thailand, similar amount. Myanmar, 31 millions. And Cambodia, 9.88 million. So in general, we can see that in the Myanmar region, a huge part of the forest land tend to be administered by governments. As you can see, you have also a scale here. So you can see that, for instance, Russia is a country with a very high amount of hectares of forest land administered by the government. Same for Canada, while like we see lower level in United States or in Brazil, and even lower level where countries are yellow. I just want to say that these indicators is in millions of hectares, so it's not surprised that a big country like Russia, with a past of, you know, Soviet organization, has a huge share of forest land administered by the government. So we now have another block about data. This block is called infographics. Basically, this block has three components. The first one is coming from the World Bank Land and Governance Assessment Framework, the so-called LGAF. The second one is a pie chart on land use. As you can see, we spotted already from the narrative that 45% of the land area in Vietnam was forest land, and we also have the total land area on the top, and we have the percentage for all others main land use in the country. So then we have a block spider chart for main development indicators. In particular, we are considering 4 of well-known development indicators: the Social, Institutional, and Gender Index, the Gini Index by the World Bank, the Human Development Index, and the Global Hunger Index. All these indicators, as you can see from the note, are rescaled in order to make 0 reflecting low development level and 100 reflecting high development level, so that the higher is the area under the spider, the higher we should expect the level of development measured over this 4 dimension to be for the given country we are looking at. So let's play a little bit with LGAF. As you can see, LGAF is organized in panel and sub-panel. So let's see if we do have a panel of indicators on forestry. Yes, here we are, rights to forests and common lands and rural land use regulation. And then let's select a sub-panel. Okay, again, we have rights to forests and common lands, seems to be perfect for our research. And this is the view of the set of LGAF indicators belonging to this sub-panel, belonging to this panel. So again, we have a scattered picture of the situation. We can see from the green box here that group rights are recognized and enforceable. So it means that in theory, the law allowed for group rights and for the recognition of land group rights. And there are laws which help enforcing those rights. But at the same time, we can see that there is not a clear identification of the use of forestry and common lands. And we can see that a lot of aspects of this particular set of rights to forests and common lands express missing values. So, I mean, in general, this is in line with the narrative we saw. We saw that there is like a huge change going on, and this is the scattered situation that we can see from LGAF indicators. So up to now, we saw the main data part and the narrative for a country profile, but of course data don't tell everything about our world. So we do have also a very nice media section. In the media section, you can find the latest news about a given country, the latest blog about a given country, and also the latest events about a given country. All these contents come from the land debate section, so you can always just go and click on land debate and navigate these contents from that section of the land portal. If you are interested in a particular content, let's say, for instance, I see this one, pretty recent in Vietnam, I can just click on the news and I will be redirected on the page, on the land debate. We are on the land debate here on the page featuring this particular news, and have the full text of the news. I can do the same thing for the blog. Here, for instance, we do have a nice blog by Philip Hirsch, a big expert on the region, on the Myanmar region, on land-related issues in Myanmar. Again, we have the full text, and we can go back and see also what are the events. We have a past events, something that happened in June earlier this year, and it was a Mekong Region Land Forum. I can click here and I can see all the information we have about this event. As a land portal, we did some coverage of this event, so you can find, for instance, interviews with the participants, and maybe some of these interviews will be specifically related to forest and will be particularly helpful in our case. So eventually we do have another, the last but not the least, no, sorry, we have the partner section. Here you can see the profile of the organization, at least the profile we have of the organization working in the area. So for instance, we have Open Development Vietnam. For instance, they are those who provide the nice country narrative I showed you a while ago. And you have the profile of the organization. You can get in touch with them and you can have information of who they are. And then we have the library. Here you can refine your results by type of publication and by year, for instance. And so in this way, it's going to be easier to find exactly what we are looking for. For instance, we can see the research that we were looking at just a few minutes ago on the top of the featured resources from the library. This is the one we were looking at in order to have some insight on the distribution of forestries among different groups. And this is the library view. When you are on the library, you can always search for documents using this advanced filters if those provided on the country page are not enough for you. So that's a general and quick overview of the very wide range of possibilities that the country page allows for. Just a few reminders before I'll try to see whether there are questions. There is a download PDF feature. If you want to download the information you saw on the page and have them at hand, you can just click and download the PDF and print. You are going to find the main information that the country page offers. And also, very important, we have this give us your feedback button. We really value your help. So if you have information, data set you want to share with us, you want to point out, if you spot any bug, any problem, if you have anything you want to understand better, just drop us a message and we will be very happy to reply and help you. So, okay. So let me see quickly if we have any question on the chat. It seems that we don't have question on the chat. So I hope I was clear. As I said, don't hesitate to contact us if you need any additional information or if you want to suggest any resource. I'm gonna thank you all for your time, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for your time, and have a wonderful day.